Can I eat it?
No, unfortunately. Maybe the metal's made out of
Congratulations.
Congratulations on I have the medal. I have the medal.
I want it.
You may wear it during the lesson.
Jesse, what is the award?
Why does my one not come with a medal?
You're not good enough.
We all got medals.
You didn't get the medal. Yeah. What did you get?
Jesse, what did you get?
Commitment.
It's because it wasn't for an actual subject.
You would actually.
I have no idea. I just got it. Commitment to something.
Did you not go to presentation day, Thomas?
I did, but I didn't know my name was getting.
Damn it, you scumbag.
Alright. Page number. Page 72. So anyone else? Well, you meant to be up to the page. Can't help that. Sunny day today. Went into local villages for afternoon tea. Heard good rains at home. Met Otto Paget from old Australian State School days. He's doing signal training, semaphore, etc. Nice fellow. As he had the English darkroom to himself, in misty stillness he stood in century beauty outside the armoury, his boots scraping on the concrete, the camp in front of him enveloped in blackness, but for the glow of a few electric lights and behind him adding their own particular quality to the night. Hundreds of weapons racked in readiness for whatever killing drills were planned for the troops in training. If he turned, he could see, through the barred windows, rows of Lewis light machine guns, the sinister black bulk of Vickers heavy machine guns, and rack after rack of Lee Enfield rifles was something unique on it. Oh, okay. If you turned, you could see through barred windows rows of Lewis light machine guns, with sinister black bulk of Vickers heavy machine guns, and rack after rack of Lee Enfield rifles. The wooden stock, ranging in colour from honey yellow through to dark brown, all set off by grim gunmetal and the inhuman slivers of fixed bayonets. The tools of the trade, he thought, his new trade. The Great War, the English papers were calling it, and the idea that Andy was forming of it was something huge and black, something endlessly and massively churning, like monster threshing machines, driving back and forth over destroyed ground, throwing up smoke, fire, bodies and earth, because the war had to be like that, he reasoned. It had to be bigger and more violent than anything that had taken place before, because every day, everything that the Allies had in the way of manpower and armaments were being sent up to the front, and everything in the way of manpower and armaments that the Germans had were being sent up to their front, there to meet head on. That last little section, I'd like you to put a little note, fold your corner over. That describes war. And as you were flicking through the guns and admiring the weaponry and contemplating the war ahead, accidentally, someone was killed in friendly fire. Someone gets to draw it today, I've decided.
I'll draw it.
Yeah, James can draw it.
Gets to draw it. I told you! You were going to remind her it was going to be you.
Alright, sorry. How did she die? I get it. She died in friendly fire, which is
Let's see. James the
That was more big one.
Okay. That was just an introduction activity. That section there is a good quote for the ideas about war and violence, and you'll need that later. So just either fold down the corner of your page or use a little label thing. Might even use it just thinking on the page. Yeah. And then put label it for. So Eli, you will please, and everyone else. No, you're so we're going to draw this diagram. This is how, or you don't have to draw like perfectly like that. You can just, this is where we're going. So, you're supposed to read and understand the story, which is why I gave you the homework to be up to page 104 and complete those questions on chapters 1 to 6. And I'll be checking that throughout the class. Then, so the questions, the point of the questions is so that you understand the story. Last lesson we did a little bit on context. We're going to do a bit more on context today. Then we need to understand character and characterization. So we're going to look at some excerpts relating to Andy and excerpts relating to Henry, which we haven't really discussed yet. Then we need to look at language and narrative structure. Then we need to look at thematic concerns. And then you put all of that together and you write an essay. You will get a coursework essay for the school holidays. hand that in when you get back from the school holidays, and then your assessment task will be in week 3. So it's quick, isn't it?
Yeah?
Okay, we finished that. You just can do it in dot points if you like. You don't have to draw a pen. 16. Catch. Let's go through things.
Is that an actual medal for God? Can I see your voice? Yeah. Now look at your medal. Actual medal or plus? Okay.
Oh, God. She's strong, really? She's telling you this is a lot in your life.
You wait.
Okay. Were you not finished?
Yeah, copy of Leo. Context. The text incorporates a dual narrative that explores present-day Australia and the experiences of Australian soldiers during the First World War. Wow, I can't talk today. Both here and overseas in different areas of Europe. The modern-day narrative, we are introduced to a familiar world. Where's it set, do you know? Lilith, where's it set? Henry's story. Melbourne, good try. Yep. The other half of the narrative is more challenging in terms of the knowledge required to appreciate the setting. So we need to know a bit about the World War I context. Just write the first two. Don't worry about the search. Just the first two. They're like crunchy melons. Yeah, like crunchy softer. Yeah, sort of. Just yeah. Sorry? Okay, before we move on to the next section, I just want to check that you have done your homework in terms of reading. And I'm going to note down what page you're up to. You must tell the truth. Okay? So if you are up to page 1, you need to be honest about that. Otherwise, next lesson I will expect you to be further ahead than that. So, and you can't lie to this face. Look, I'm an angel. You can't.
9.
James? Julian?
32.
Speed it up. All agree. What page you up to? 20.
Yeah,
Jackson?
53.
No, it's because I added. Cynthia? 70.
Oi.
Okay. Rocco?
Just 20.
Sandra? Gwen?
So far, I'm the only one who's done homework.
Okay, I think I'm up to chapter 5. So 24.
Jesse? Did you make that up? You know I have super hearing, Julian.
No.
Don't give your mate away.
Oh, right. We thought it was
So Jesse?
Neil's in trouble.
Betty? Bigger? 50? 20? Yeah, I'll Eli, what page are you up to in the novel? Lenny?
9.
Leo?
Oh, what? Chapter 9.
Ollie? Elliot? Really?
Yeah.
Everyone's questioning.
I can't read.
Liam?
Wait, which? 29.
You could read that amount in the lesson. Kawilin?
I have a reading.
And
Keep up like this, you're going to start working at the supervisor.
not good enough. You need to actually do your homework, spend some time reading. I will ask you next lesson and the lesson after that, and you need to add to it in between.
Every lesson next one.
Oh,
You don't have a lesson again until Friday, I think.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's right. We're supposed to 104 by this time. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tish. I didn't Well, we need our lesson to be what are you saying? Well, should I put it in the internet? It might come up. So why can't you say it? Okay. It was deleted. Are you serious?
copyright infringement.
I don't know if this is going to relate because it's not the URL, but
So what's the whole thing with
I think it's not yet.
9 decades later,
Normally we're opposed to that.
I wanted to start talking.
World War I has always been seen as a war in black and white. It's the only way pictures from the front and scenes recreated for the camera could be filmed. But it was not the reality. The reality happened in color. The slaughter, the innovation, the shock, the political upheavals, victory, defeat. The fields were green, the mud brown, the flames white. Now, with the aid of new computer technology, black and white of World War I has been faithfully and with minute attention to detail recast in color. For the first time, this series will tell the story of the First World War as it was seen by those who fought it. World War I was war on a scale never known or imagined before. Between 1914 and 1918, some 65 million men took up arms. 10 million died in battle. 20 million were irretrievably wounded in their minds or their bodies. Nine decades later, the remaining few who remember, who took part, gathered at the Menin Gate, part of the old walls of Ypres in Belgium. They survived. They have never forgotten those who did not.
For many of the men who suffered the worst of the dangers and hardships and terrible experiences, they never got home, did they? Their bones are still on the battlefields in many cases.
In this war, the millions who died were statistics to be recorded by future historians. What mattered were your friends, the men around you, the men just along in the trench, the men of your gun crew.
The 5 of us were a little crew together, and that's what worried me most when 3, 4, and 5 were killed. All I could remember was their nicknames: Baldy, Allen, Jack, and Jill. That's all I could remember. I wish I could.
World War I was truly a world war, fought from the shores of America to the shores of Asia. It was a clash of great empires which destroyed the old and ushered in the new. Dynasties were shattered, a royal family murdered and replaced by revolutionary terror. It was a war that changed the nature of war itself. A dreaded new expression appeared, going over the top.
I always said a prayer. You know that's what I do for that family. But I always ask God to make me fight like a man. sound. If any man tells you he went over the top and he wasn't scared, was a damn liar.
This brutal war destroyed the very land itself.
But a tree stands. But a square foot of silk is as thin mutilation. There is nothing but the mud and the gaping shell holes.
The title, Voice of Blood and Bone, comes from a scene, a description where he's talking about the land.
There were fearful weapons.
And the trench, like just like that. And there's like blood and bone like covering the trenches, like bones in the trench itself. So that the land becomes a metaphor for like the land dying being the same as the people dying all around them. Yes, it is vertical. Yeah.
Now anybody ever survived it, I don't know.
What are they doing in this war? Several hundred men have already passed through my platoon alone, and at least one half of them have ended up on the field of battle, either killed or wounded. What will they get at the end of the war? The discontent would fuel the conditions for a revolution that shook the world.
This is no longer jeopardy. It is a necessity. No one works. The streets are filthy. There are piles of stinking rubbish in the corridor. It hurts me to say how bad things have got.
There was an theatre of war. It was every bit as murderous as the trenches below.
People were being killed every day. My best friend was there, and he wasn't there the next day. You were alone. You fought alone, you died alone.
I killed my mother. I cleared everything. My grandfather killed my mom. And everything I could ever see you.
Okay, I'm just going to put that YouTube clip back on.
There was dazzling technological innovation. Trains which took off from a platform on a ship's guns. The aircraft carrier able to beat them.
The first thing we had to do was to learn to fly on and off the floor. So the captain said, we may as well take the helicopter and blow your brains out.
There were huge battles, but Kuwait had only one full-scale flash of gas. Instead, a stealthy new weapon, the submarine, or U-boat as the Germans called it, was used for the first time on a large scale, bringing horrifying destruction. Above all, it was the costly human life that remained so staggering. The aims of the battle, Egypt, Vietnam, Somalia, those who fought in these places witnessed suffering like no other before.
The table cross was cold. He was ripped from his shoulder to his waist. His inside the other curve, center of the beat. As he talked to him, he said, Weird.
Early in November 1918, on the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month, the guns fell silent.
Everything stopped, and there was what I can only call as a deadly hush over everything. And we all stopped, looked at one another, because we suddenly realised that we had no objective, nothing whatever to look forward to doing.
I know, right?
By the end, human beings had undergone the most devastating experience in history, and within it, one individual decision could change a life.
As that train came from Wall Street, I must I can remember when I joined the army, I swore I would serve the country. And then suddenly I got flashed by light where Moses came down on both sides now. 6 commandments of God, I not kill, and I can trust. I am unfair second to make my mind. I shot him above the hand group, and both of them, I brought it down. I didn't kill him.
They shot them at all, that we had on that floor. Any shall not will, nor hear upon the dead. And in the morning, we will remember them.
Okay, so I've got some questions that will not be answered by that documentary because it's not the right one. But I'm sure we can kind of work it out from your modern history and. Okay, so who were the Australian troops fighting? Do we have questions? No, just discussion. So I guess we sort of talked about it last lesson. So why were the Australian troops signed up? Who were they fighting for?
England.
Yeah, and
because we're part of the Commonwealth.
Because we're part of the Commonwealth. Yeah, so we were fighting for the Queen. What else? Yeah.
Well, there was a whole complex ties because Britain was fighting for someone else.
The Allies, they were part of the Allies.
They were fighting for the Allies, so everyone was fighting for someone else, and no one was really fighting for themselves.
Well, I think England were pretty well the driving force for the Allies.
So there were a lot of complex ties.
Oh, absolutely. Political ties that meant that the whole war started and therefore was fought and continued. We did get this in the film, in the documentary. What were the conditions like in the trenches? Pretty bad, horrible. Yeah. Does anyone know? I didn't repeat that one because you swore. Does anyone know some examples of the toughness in the trenches? Yeah.
People get like gangrene
and trench foot.
Yeah.
Yep. Because why?
Because there wasn't enough time to change it.
And
they
money,
they
didn't have another. They would only have one pair of socks, one pair of army-issued boots.
They sent that in the care packages. They sent socks.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. Yeah. And if it's raining and muddy and you're sleeping and you can't have a shower and you can't get changed and you're sleeping while you're fighting.
If you have an injury, then you get like this.
Yeah. Myself?
Weren't there also like big rats in there that would
Yes. What else? Water was a problem. Food was always like canned or In those packets, there wasn't a lot of food. They'd be there for weeks. They'd be in there for weeks and weeks.
They didn't really have that many medical.
What things did they cling to? What sort of like good things did they have in the trenches? Friends. Yep. Like the bond of friendship. What else? They're friends. They befriended rats. They fight for the nation. Yeah. Can we have some sexual lessons, please? Their pride and the fact that they feel like they're doing the right thing, really good. Yeah. Diaries. The diaries. Yes. If you had your hand up, that would be perfect. Yes. So a lot of people wrote diaries, and what else did they write? Letters home. Yeah. And that made them feel like there was hope, that there was someone thinking of them, someone wanting them home. Yeah, they like care packages. They did, yeah. What kind of things would they get?
Dank biscuits aren't really crap at all.
Dank something biscuits. Yeah. Yep. What else?
But they also cling to the delusion that maybe a fighting station.
Yeah, well they have to, that's hope, isn't it? There's a theme in the novel, boys, there's a theme in the novel about hope. Again, like kind of Gary's house in there. And every time there's a reference to light, the hope of light, and the new morning, the new sun, the dawn, that was the idea that he would actually get home safe. Why do Australians celebrate events that occurred during World War I? What's the main one that we celebrate?
Anzac Day.
Yeah, why do we celebrate that?
Do we celebrate?
Yeah.
Or do we remember?
Remember's better. Yeah.
It's not like there's anything to celebrate.
Yeah, that someone fought for us, for the rights that we have, for the freedoms that we have. What else?
Celebrate when you change.
Why do we keep fighting? Because that's the only Australian history we have. Is that right? Okay? The belief was that if they didn't fight, then their rights would be taken away. That forces from the other side of the world would come, take over, and like a fear of, I guess, invasion, or fear of losing the monarchy or losing the queen. I mean, a lot of it's nationalistic pride that isn't possibly based on anything real. But that was that. And then we were doing our bit to fight for the other people overseas as well, with the hope that if we were in a war, then they would come in. Obviously, there's a very different, it's a very different time back then. And I'm sure if we were fighting overseas, we wouldn't be writing a letter. It could be instant text or Skype or something like that. And we don't really have world wars like that anymore, where there's this nationalistic drive to get people to sign up for them to only realise that war isn't everything that people promise. So they promised it was going to be a holiday and adventure, and what they got was feet falling off and fighting for something that they didn't really understand. They knew it was a war, but I think they thought they'd shoot these people and then be back home again. Yeah, probably. Look, wars never pleasant. I don't know how people can believe it.
Whatever changes. I think we feel a lot smarter when it comes to war, because people don't die as often. People don't believe it's an adventure. They're not that stupid.
Well, it's not that they're not that stupid, myself. Hang on. It's that they weren't as informed. That they didn't, like, there wasn't a world war before that, so they thought that it would be like.
Now saying that this country's going to be made of people just know that's not a careful, like that.
Alright. Language and style. Here I start. Yeah, that man was in order.
Writing this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I will excuse myself.
Boys basically what it is a third person, multiple narrative. Elliot, if you learn one technique from this book, that's the one. Third person, multiple narrative. Because you were probably doing something stupid.
Is there a specific name for it if you have multiple narratives but they're different? Like one's in third person, one's in first person?
I guess switching, vocalization, third person. It does, yes. That is, we see the action through a third person's eyes. Now, Rocco, it says third person multiple narrative, but when is it written in first person in the book? In the diary, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, please write down the stuff in the book. So we see the action through a third person's eyes. It is a multiple narrative following two different storylines. Henry Lyon in contemporary Australia and Andrew Lansell in 1917 to 1918 during World War I. So he actually goes to war a bit later in the war effort. He doesn't go at the very start. Where does he fight? Does anyone know? Yep, specifically? Yep, the Western Front. Yeah. So he's not a Gallipoli man, right? Different part of the world.
When I go to another country, you mentioned Gallipoli, they have no idea what it is. It means nothing.
No.
Wait, where was Gallipoli again? Turkey.
It's like near the bay.
Is that World War I as well? Is Gallipoli part of World War I? What was World War?
So was it just like one battle? There was like a lot of battles all around the world. Yes, the whole thing, exactly.
What is the number one war?
The first one, where that happened. And then there was World War II, around the yes, and then
Let's get Oliver to do it for us.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
You go to Kosovo. Let's just go.
That's the place to be.
So, we'll get more into Henry in a second. So the second narrative is strengthened by one other form of text, the diary entries of Andrew Lansell, which document very briefly Andy's movements during his time as a soldier. This style of writing allows us to view the action in a fly-on-the-wall manner. Like a film, we see the story unfold before us, and it's the actions and words of the characters that communicate background and feelings. You could probably summarize that last document, and then you don't have to write every word.
Do we know what year Henry Leon's story is in? Or is it just meant to be like... Yeah, I know, like any specific year.
Let's look at... I think it's 2000. Story's 2003.
I'll see if there's any kind of reference, cultural reference.
Published in 2003.
Yeah, but just because it's published at any time.
What was this?
It can't be after 2003.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
No, well, that's set in the diary is set in World War I. So why couldn't it be set in 2004? Let's just
the future.
Let's just go with
All the knew there was a World War III by
I have a
then.
question.
let's go with the early 2000s.
Diary. Who was it written from?
The diary
Is that diary like real or
No.
just
Okay. It would be good if it was real.
I know, yeah, I would have just given it.
I'd rather read the diary.
Yeah, me too. Rocco, can you finish copying all that down?
It's one of these. That's
Sorry? Oh, well, do you know the expression, wish I was a fly on the wall in that conversation? So say like, Owen and Eli were talking about what they really thought about English, and I might say, I wish I was a fly on the wall in that conversation. So, yeah. So, like, imagine you're literally a fly on the wall viewing something that you're invited into that you wouldn't ordinarily get to hear that conversation or see that. That's what it's like.
You watch all the events, but you have no impact on them yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's something that you wouldn't normally be allowed to be there to see. That's why it's fly on the wall, because you can see his life. You're invited into his world. What's Henry like? Talked a lot about Andy and his situation. What's Henry like as a person, as a character?
It's a bit awkward.
He's a bit awkward, yeah. He's a male, yeah.
Doesn't really know what he's doing in that town.
Does not know what he's doing, no. Wait, what's his background? What? Really? Melbourne? Do you know what type of school he went to? Private school, yeah. Okay. Okay, what's his dad giving him? Money, car, his dad are amazing. Anything you want.
He's pretty good.
Spoiled kid, yeah? So that's what you infer from the way that he kind of drives around in his probably No, I don't think he is. Yes, something. Yeah. He gets compared to something. And his girlfriend, Janine, what's she like?
She's a bit of a brat.
Pardon? A bit of a brat. How does she get to the beach when Henry eventually gets it? By plane. Like, not a private jet, but by plane. Like, it's like going up to the Central Coast, and rather than driving, you fly there. Like, who does that? Central Coast is in Queensland? Let's say, like, Sydney to yeah, Byron Bay. That's a better example.
And then you go and you
Who does that? I thought you can't fly there.
You can fly to Ballina, but really Ballina and yourself.
The Ballina airport's tiny.
I know.
You can fly there.
Smaller than the Smith.
Yeah.
It's like the hall.
It's like a shed.
It's like the hall.
Yeah.
I meant Marcel.
I went to the Avalon Airport in Victoria.
Avalon. Never. Good thing I didn't go. That was the issue. That was the issue. We didn't go to Melbourne. Stood around having what is really shit? No, we just stand around and saw it's like a really hot little place.
Why didn't you go?
What happened to your life?
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'd be encouraging people drawing in class, probably. Alright. But it's very good. I think this is our last slide. Yeah. The language of the novel is most effective when it evokes the feelings surrounding and we're writing what is on the board. Metzgerson is well known for his ability to create character and landscape with language. The experiences of Andy at the war front offer a number of opportunities for Metzgerson to explore particularly powerful moments in Andy's life. So, an example of this quote from page 105, spark-coloured stars floated in front of his eyes, blood pounded in his hand and head. He wore a layer of heat and sweat like a second tunic. See the really evocative imagery in the way he describes the feelings he has on the front line. Once you finish copying that down, I'd like you to find another example where that imagery, that language is used to create character using the landscape. So find examples in the trenches where Andy is given characterization through the landscape. So you've got 2 examples for that. You can clarify in your assessment. Okay?
Do you have to do a speech for English in year 12 or not?
Yep. It's actually in term 4 too. This year.
Oh, this year?
Yep.
So you do 2 speeches in English.
What's the speech?
For what? I can't remember. No, I can't remember. I coordinate year 11 advanced, so I can't remember what year 11.
Why would they not be allowed to have favorites? You can't show favoritism. You're allowed to have favorites.
Charlotte actually Oh, in my class. Oh, check. What do you mean? I tell you what, like in hindsight,
Boys ruined it.
Robert, I don't know if sitting there is the best thing for you. I know, right? If they throw bloody cheese balls at us. Who's throwing cheese balls at us?
That's bullying.
I know, right? Nothing. It's not reason that's how cheese balls. Let's come over here.
Yeah, I was thrown at me as well.
You're packing up the whole class. I know it's you. Yeah, Blake. If it's not handstand, he should tell me.
I second on that one.
Oh, it's you then. Who was it? I'm going with
I
Elliot.
don't even eat chicken.
That's a really bad aim.
It's you.
Why would you say Elliot? You don't even eat chicken. Then that's a good reason it's wrong.
If I didn't eat them, why would I buy them? We'll bring them back. Why would I buy them? Let's not start turning on each other.
Okay, you're supposed to be finding a second quote.
Blame everything on Elliot.
James. Okay, so once you've finished copying that down, you need to find another quote than the one that's on page 100. Oh, and we need to copy that one. Yep. So open up somewhere in the trenches. What page is the trenches about? It's about showing characters through the landscape. Okay. It is. It's kind of like characterizing the house, right? Yeah.
Do it.
Page 116. Is that good? Yeah. What was
It was just, he didn't mention the part that everyone got an award. He's like, yeah, I got an award named after me.
Some were good, like this is what someone's done that's great, and some were just paying people out.
Does the creative writer due to some excuse that he wrote up on page?
No, it's really good. Like amazing. Now, if you finish copying that from the board, you are supposed to be finding a quote, and as a clue, I've been told there's one on page 116.
Yeah, because it's pretty much organised individually. It's like capitalism.
character.
Leo, you can't eat I'm waiting you to finish the vanilla. You're taking a long time to chew.
Lena, do you find one? Can you read it out, please? What page? What page? What page? Okay, so page 116, write that down. Read it out. Yeah, so he's given an interesting paradox. He expects the atmosphere to smell like death and decay, but instead it smells like what? Pulverized stone. I mean, that's interesting. Kind of shows his character, shows what he expects. Owen, can you read this, please? It's from earlier in the novel, not in the trenches, but still works.
He's been lost for words, in a way, since they had left Stratford, always being used to a large sky. It is taken a moment to enclose him, and it felt limitless and calm.
So yeah, that he describes the landscape to show the character. He sees the sky. He expects to feel trapped, but the night sky is limitless and unknown. Is that right? Yes. So it's like in Gary's house, where the house shows the characterization. Metzington uses the landscape to show Andy's character specifically. All right, I'm going to ask you next lesson what page you're all up to, and you need to be at least Friday, I think. You have period 1.
Wait, when do we have period
I put that PowerPoint up here as well, and I also changed the picture.